Firstly, before I say anything at all, unless you're an industry insider or work at Sony, I know as little as you do about the state of Part 2, the next trailer, or the plans for State of Play. These are just my opinions and personal theories, and nothing else. I'm just a regular guy, no expert or analyst or anything. Anyways, hey everyone, my name is the iPad Cat. After the announcement of State of Play and the days leading up to it, a lot of people have been asking me about when I think the next trailer for Part 2 will be out, and if it'd be probable that it'd be during the State of Play. There's also been a lot of conversation and speculation in the Discord server, which you should totally join if you haven't, as to how Sony will market Part 2, but also their other games in general, now that they've pulled out of and cancelled their big events, and since State of Play was announced. So this short video will be on my thoughts about all of that, people being disappointed over State of Play, how Sony will be handling marketing going forward, and then also when I think we'll see the next Part 2 trailer. So without further ado,
let's get on with it.
Starting with State of Play. Are you disappointed? Answer that in the poll in the top right corner. In case you are, you're definitely not alone. At the moment of writing the script for this video, the like to dislike ratio sits at 11,000 dislikes and only 4,200 likes. And I suspect it's only going to get worse. Judging by what people say in the comments and what I've seen in my Discord server, most are mad over there not being any quote-unquote newsworthy announcements and are baffled over why none of the big exclusives showed up and that Nintendo does it better. While I didn't find the announcements particularly exciting myself, I'm not mad or disappointed by Sony. But I don't blame people who are. And the reason I think so many are is that most were expecting something completely different from what the actual purpose of State of Play is. A lot of people seem to think that this single livestream was the replacement for PSX and E3, and thus went in with the expectations of massive bombshells of info, gameplay and announcements, dropping left, right and center. However, Sony never implied that it'd be anything like that. If you go back to their announcement of pulling out of E3, they said, quote, "As the industry evolves, Sony Interactive Entertainment continues to look for inventive opportunities to engage the community. PlayStation fans mean the world to us, and we always want to innovate, think differently and experiment with new ways to delight gamers. As a result, we have decided not to participate in E3 2019. We are exploring new and familiar ways to engage our community in 2019 and can't wait to share our plans with you." Unquote. Then, move forward to a few days ago to the announcement of the State of Play, where they start off with a headline reading, "PlayStation's new video showcase debuts Monday," followed by, "Tune in to the very first episode of State of Play, where we'll share new updates and announcements for PS4 and PSVR software. And our first episode will showcase upcoming PS4 and PSVR software, including new trailers, new game announcements and new gameplay footage." This information tells us everything we need to know. As E3 is slowly going out of fashion and the fact that they didn't have enough things to pull together for a PSX conference, they decided that it was time to take a new approach to their marketing. I speculated that it was going to be something more frequent instead of the one big boom every year in my video on them pulling out of E3. And that is exactly what State of Play is. As the quote I just read to you said, this was only the first episode, which would focus on VR first and foremost. If Sony had just been more forthcoming with this information, people would most likely not be as mad. This 30-minute stream wasn't the replacement for E3. No, that stream, along with several more over the course of the year, is. Or most likely is, at least. That's what I think anyways. It's like E3 but spread out. Who knows, there might also be other ways they'll handle news and announcements beside that, which we don't know about yet too. And again, the reason for there not being any quote-unquote newsworthy things to show was that this episode's theme was about VR. But most people, due to lack of communication on Sony's part, think that they are now done for some time, and wonder why the hell nothing big showed up. And of course that makes them mad. Where is The Last of Us Part 2? Where is Ghost of Tsushima? Where is Death Stranding? The answer to those questions is most likely in a later State of Play stream. Speaking of The Last of Us Part 2, as I mentioned at the start of the video, the most common question I've been getting in channel comments, during streams and in private messages for the last few months is, when do I think we'll see the next trailer for the game? And that is understandable, since we're closing in on 10 months since the last trailer, and there is still no sign of any news. Unfortunately, I don't know any more than any of you, but my guess and intuition is that Days Gone has to launch and be out of the way before Part 2 even gets close to the gears of Sony's marketing machine. And only further reinforcing that notion is that Days Gone did show up at State of Play, while none of the other big exclusives did. I'm not shitting on it or anything, but Days Gone just doesn't come close to titans like The Last of Us or Hideo Kojima's new game. Sony, marketing them this close to the launch of Days Gone, does nothing but shooting themselves in their own foot. Why make their own products compete against each other? I mean, can you imagine if God of War and Spider-Man were heavily marketed beside each other last year? None of them would have seen the success they did if that happened, I'm sure. I mean, I'm no analyst or marketing expert, but this is just simple logic. It doesn't make sense for Sony to have 2 or even more exclusives in the spotlight at the same time, but especially The Last of Us and Days Gone. Not only are they both Sony exclusives, which is a genre in and of itself, but they are also sharing the post-apocalyptic zombie genre. I mean, most people can only afford a few games a year, and faced with the choice of buying a relatively low-profile new IP game right now, or waiting a little bit to buy the sequel to one of the most critically acclaimed games of all time after that cool trailer that they dropped alongside Days Gone, I think we can assume most would choose the latter alternative. Thus, like I've said in the past, new information will most likely come after Days Gone. I'd bet sometime in June or July, so that the first couple of weeks of sales for Days Gone are over before they start talking about the next game. So there's my answer to the question of when I think we'll get the next trailer. At the State of Play, focused on The Last of Us Part 2 sometime during early summer. Anyways, that's just what I think. I know this was outside of my existing video schedule, but I did say I might post some videos outside of it, if I felt like it or there was news to talk about, so yeah. What do you think about Sony's new way of releasing news and trailers with State of Play? And when do you think we'll get the next trailer for Part 2? Tell me in the comments down below and let's discuss it. And until next time, have a great day.